The following video contains content some viewers might find disturbing. The views and opinions expressed here are not facts and are nothing more than entertainment. The views and opinions are not facts and do not represent the views and opinions of Xirtus or our channel, and do not necessarily represent or reflect the views of the guests, YouTube, Google, mainstream media, society, or civilization at large, or anybody. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, how's it going? Oh, wait. I forgot. There's one more thing.
Hillary wanted to put up winds. You know, the thing makes it so... And, of course, it's like a graveyard for birds. You know, in California, they were killing the bald eagle. If you shoot a bald eagle, they want to put you in jail for 10 years. A windmill will kill many bald eagles. They're noisy. They kill the birds. You want to see a bird graveyard? If you just go, take a look. A bird graveyard? Go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen ever in your life. And you know what? After a certain number, they make you turn the windmill off. That's true, by the way. They make you turn it off after you. And yet, if you killed one, they put you in jail. That's okay. Why is it okay for these windmills to destroy the bird population? It's like a cemetery. We put a little statue for the poor birds. If you shoot a bald eagle, they put you in jail for 5 years. And yet the windmills wipe them all out.
Anyway, so how you all been this week? What's going on?
I don't know. We're not even going to talk about the Trump clip. That was cool.
Well, if you want, I don't know. Well, you can talk about Trump. Like, there's some things that have been going on this week that are pretty interesting. But like, I was kind of interested in first introducing that Jeremy's with us. Jeremy, you were in Washington, talking about UAPs, right? Because we don't do that anymore. Yeah, we don't dead name UAPs here.
It's the same thing. They're UFOs.
Their pronouns are UAPs now, and we respect that here, as long as the Democrats are in charge. But okay, so what was the whole talk about? Because it seems like basically they're saying there are aliens, UFOs, all of it. It just kind of what happened.
At that hearing, this was the Senate hearing. The Congress hearing was the recent one with Grush and Fravor and Lieutenant Graves as well. I think.
So you heard Graves talk, Grush. These are the names of the people that have been like, the big UFO whistleblowers, right? Washington whistleblowers.
Yeah, they're whistleblowers. And some people have argued, are they whistleblowers? So, I did a poll to see what people seem to think, because, some people are saying, well, they didn't have evidence, and then Snowden got all these documents and he had everything like when he came forward and blew the whistle. And so didn't, Deep Throat. And you look at all the other, cases of whistleblowers that have come forward with documents or, evidence and stuff. And you'd think that.
Yeah, they called this guy brother. I remember hearing he's like, thank you for
40
Thank you for your
names.
time, brother. Thank you for your time, brother. I don't know. It just it seemed like it stuck
He's
out.
got 40 other witnesses, right? So he's got 40 other witnesses, and this is different than the Senate hearing I went to, which was a couple months back. That's in a different building. That's a different group of people. Those are senators, and Congress is a different group. But that was the Senate Intelligence Select Committee, and that's the one headed by Gillibrand. And Kirkpatrick was there. That's where they debunked the Mosul Sphere video from Iraq. And we're just saying that, Kirkpatrick was basically saying that his job was to turn UAPs into SEPs, and SEP stood for somebody else's problem.
Oh, okay.
He literally said this in the hearing. So
interesting.
So he was just trying to get these cases off his desk, and he doesn't believe in any of this stuff. He's kind of
he thinks it's like drones or like, Russian drones or Chinese drones. Is that what you say?
Kirkpatrick has access to a lot of the technology and the science programs. So he's been like a signer for, DoD projects. And so he's been on like the board that sits and decides which, projects get funding and what the Air Force wants to invest their money and time in, what they think is worthwhile. So he thinks he knows everything that's going on with this field, and that may or may not be the case. Probably most likely not the case, because I don't think anybody really knows everything that's going on, because the more that you learn, the more you realize that we just got a long way to go. And a lot of these technologies, if these things use, metamaterials and terahertz photonics, which is like bridges the gap between electronics and photonics, where you can literally use light to process information and build computer chips out of light and stuff. And I think that's the technology. If they did find alien technology, it wasn't the transistor, and it wasn't, some of these other things that have been rumored to have been reverse engineered from aliens. But there's some of these technologies like, quasi-crystals and metamaterials. Well, I also, that the Nazis were developing metamaterials. Look up anechoic tiles and U-480, Nazi sub U-480. It used these metamaterial tiles for stealth invisibility. So Operation Paperclip brought some of that intelligence over potentially. So you have a human source for the invisibility cloak and the metamaterial stuff,
Whoa.
Not necessarily aliens.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so a lot of this stuff could just be like offshore corporations or something like that, basically.
Yeah, there's a lot of technology that's not, well, I mean, this is from 1945 that they were developed. The Third Reich was developing those anechoic tiles, and it's still not public knowledge to a lot of people, including a lot of people in ufology. I mean, I've been studying, I was talking about metamaterials a decade before, TTSA came out and kind of popularized the term. And those, by the way, the DRID reports that came out from OSAP are, the meat and potatoes of the whole disclosure thing. And they've been the least highlighted of anything that's come out. And those documents talk about metallic glass, memory foil, memory metals, shape retention alloys. They talk about metamaterials, talk about a lot of different, space age materials.
All the stuff in Terminator 2, basically, like all the.
Yeah, I would maybe say so. Ways to control machines with your mind. They did studies on. This was in one of the things. And then we had Jack Sarfati just did that interview with my buddy Danny Jones of the Concrete Podcast. And, that was some weird stuff, and I don't know how much of it I believe personally, like the phone call that he got as a kid. And then some of the things he says, it kind of like he's been in this a long time, and he thinks he really has the strong belief that we're not alone, and that there's more to everything that's going on and everything. And that it's even biblical on a higher level, and biblical, like the aliens and from the Bible are really, I mean, the angels and demons from the Bible are could be extraterrestrials. And, he goes into a lot of weird stuff in the interview, which, he's gotten a lot of criticism for on Twitter and stuff. But, Jack was,
check it out.
He has a PhD.
Should we be trusting? Yeah.
Should we trust? Does that mean we trust him? Don't trust everything he says. No, I don't buy everything. I don't,
but you gotta look into things, test all things.
But hey,
what is true, right?
This guy's 80 years old and he wants to share his story, and they haven't put him on mainstream media and plastered him everywhere. He's been kind of like fighting on the internet to get people to pay attention.
There has been a lot of videos coming out that are just like little tech videos, though, that are definitely DoD, on YouTube and on Rumble and random channels that are like trying to put out the data that's already out there so that people can popularize information that's already been seeded to the public but been ignored. It's really quickly, though, also Curtis, who we used to live together in the pseudo abandoned haunted Palace Theater, which you put a lot of art up. What do you think as a alien yourself? What do you think? Do you believe in aliens? Do you think what is that like? Does that seem reasonable to you? The world that you live in?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of the idea that there might
Wait, hold on. Sorry, I was trying to ask Curry. I wanted to get Curtis's opinion.
I thought you said the alien, the guy.
Oh yeah, you are an alien scientist.
Curry
Hobo is definitely an alien. You mean?
What do you think?
I believe in hobos. I'm not sure about aliens yet. I think it's possible, but it seems more possible that.
Well, do you think
it seems more possible that it's a government program?
You're more into the likelihood.
If I was a betting man, I'd put my money on government technology.
And you're in Canada, right? So you're near enough to the Q base.
But I don't rule it out. I think it's possible, and all the history talks.
So
yeah, I mean, I look at it historically. Look at the ancient stories of the Anunnaki, and like you said, the angels and demons could be the extraterrestrials. So I think it's possible. I think it's possible we've been visited and there's still a presence, but it doesn't pass the smell test as much as it being a government program.
For sure. Pink trip.
What about you, Andre?
Well, I'm gonna pink too. You know me. I am an alien. Come on. But Mark, what do you think? Do you think that this is government? Do you think that even if it is government, do you think that there are aliens and that this is somehow connecting us to demons or something else?
I think if there's aliens, they're probably too far away. I was a little more believing in it until the government kind of got behind it, and then I'm like, oh, okay, so it is bullshit. So yeah, I'm more with Curry Hobo on this one.
Yeah, Raph, what do you think? Do you think just because the government says it, then we can't trust it?
So number one, we have the UN map, and then we have these other maps with strange continents lying about, which we cannot explore. So that's the one thing in terms of extraterrestrial, which, for the longest time, I've been a huge fan of all these, star systems, all of that, galaxy far away. But number one, if that exists, there would certainly be transdimensional technology, I think, we're like warped from point to point and not have to, go through the expanse of space and have a generation ship. The main issue now, I think, is that from what I understood through Dark Journalist, at least, the main proponents now asking for disclosure are still kind of government agents. So it seems like a very contrived operation. And unfortunately, even stories like Bonnie and Betty Hill, from what I learned now, they have later been apparently kind of, hypnotized by CIA people or so on. So it's never perfectly clear what could be a real, let's just say, unknown entity and what is only an unknown government entity, right? So this is really, we have to be very careful now, because we also know from Carol Rosin, the former secretary for Werner von Braun, that the last card will be the alien story. And I really hope it's the last card, so we're finally over with this and can make a new shuffle. But that's, the main thing which should people make wary of this and look very, very closely in terms of who can you actually believe in what they say and who is really honest.
So Carol predicted that in June of 2001.
Have you guys looked into that story?
Carol Rosin, right? So Carol Rosin is a Disclosure Project witness. She came out in June of 2001, and she said that Werner von Braun told her that, first it was going to be the communists, and then second it would be the terrorists, and they would have, anti-terror. And then once that thing ran out, then they would play the final card, and the final card was the alien card. And as we soon found out in 2020, that wasn't true. They had one more card left to play, before they played the alien card with that lab leak and all that. But it's I don't know. Carol was on point, dude. I don't know.
Curtis, what were you about to? Which story were you about to bring up? I think there's a lag on his connection.
I was gonna bring up that story in Brazil regarding the small town that was apparently the crash landing site, and there was hundreds of witnesses. I wonder if you guys had heard about that story.
Yeah, so there's been a couple of those circumstances recently where they said they saw like flying around people, and like in Brazil they said they saw like a 17-foot tall person. The one in Peru was interesting because they recently say it was debunked, and their answer is that it was jetpack wearing person. Let me see if I can find that article. Actually, aliens who attacked Peruvian tribe were actually illegal mineral miners with jetpacks, right? So they were coming down in the night with jetpacks, and that way they could like leave with gold or cobalt or lithium. I don't know exactly even what. And we talked about this before. The pictures aren't very good, and so that's the thing. We're always like, oh, could it be aliens? But this is supposed to be a dude, unless it's Mothman, I guess. But there's a lot of these stories, and the thing is, to me, illegal miners with jetpacks, it's not just a James Bond movie. That actually makes plenty of sense. Like, you can get that stuff now from Alibaba. So it's not that crazy that someone would do that, because they can make enough money if we put a group of military guerrillas in jetpacks and have them steal enough minerals and they fly out. I mean, I don't know. That makes enough sense.
That makes sense to you?
Stay away from the cases without like physical evidence or data, because, pixels we have lots of ways of manipulating pixels at this point with our technology. So I just try to I stick with the actionable intelligence and where like how can we figure out how this technology works and keep that kind of attitude towards the UFO field, as I call it, all the money you could dump into candle research will never invent you a light bulb. So you could dump tons and tons of money into candle research, but that's not going to help you with the next generation.
May I ask you, Jeremy, because this may also be the, the fork in the road between the, frozen 70-year rocket and stealth bomber technology, which is a complete joke, right? And then whatever break-off technology there is, wouldn't one approach just be like, hey guys, finally release all the DoD censored patent claims and so on, and let's see what you actually got.
See,
At
that's the
least
thing,
a
though.
part
When
of it.
when
gotta
they talk
think,
about UFOs, then
when they have
so
aliens in the press and it's aliens, it's ETI, extraterrestrial
it
intelligence,
draws
and the
attention away
congressmen and
from
stuff.
the real thing because there's a big nonsense
Because we have stuff
thing.
there, I
And
guess.
okay,
No,
like,
it's hidden.
It also increases the demand for those Peruvian videos that you just
scientists
showed.
believe a wormhole may have opened over California. You know, this is real news now, right? You saw this, right, Jeremy?
You get what I said, though. It increases the demand, for those types of fakes, because the more it's in the news, then people are like, oh,
I don't know anymore what's fake or real. That's my problem. Like, so the thing is, maybe the real one is the wormhole over California. You know, they're like it's like the Men in Black story. They're like, okay, but if you need a wormhole, ha ha ha, check it out. There's one. You can use
Why
it.
is it got a picture of like a galaxy that they photoshopped? Like the.
That's how you know it's real, right? It's what did Elon Musk say?
Because it looks so fake.
It has
I
to
want
be
the
real.
picture of the actual wormhole that opened up with like.
That's probably classified.
Well,
That's
you don't trust Bro Bible? I mean, I heard Bro Bible's very reliable.
Yeah, source, yeah.
Dude, it's the Bro Bible. I don't know. What's his name? Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was like, if the government knew anything, it would be leaked, because the government sucks at keeping secrets. And do you think that that's absolutely true? I kind of thought it was when I was young, but now I think that there's probably levels of government.
There's probably levels, and maybe one thing we could bring up is the recent officially publicized moon landing by the Indians. If you guys want to talk about it briefly.
Bollywood moon landing is great.
It was like any Bollywood movie has much better CGI.
I feel really
I still
bad that
don't
I typed
understand
Bolly
this.
landing, moon landing, India. There you go. That's what I meant to type. Seems pretty cool. Like this is great. Look at that. It looks like the N64 equivalent to launching on the moon. None of these pictures have anything to do with it. Where'd it go?
I was about to say, some of those look like the original moon landing.
Yeah. This is great. Like, where are my pictures? Show us that. This is all CGI. That's great. Sweet. Nothing. More CGI stuff. Is this supposed to be real? It's still from a live stream. It shows a 3D reconstitution. Ugh! 3D reconstitution of a still from a live stream. That's fun. So yeah, you're not allowed to know what's going on. You're not allowed to see it.
Clearly we don't have video technology up to speed to be able to capture things.
Well, they ran out of film because they were doing the musicals in Bollywood.
I trust Indians a lot. Like when they call me and offer me insurance and tell me they're the IRS, like I always believe them.
Huh? Yeah. Do you get calls from Indians often?
Oh,
everybody doesn't. Everybody? Am I the only one?
No, you might be. I go to that
date of birth.
You guys
have it all.
Does that website exist anymore? No, what's it called? Do not call. .gov? Yeah, it is. Go to donotcall.gov and register.
Oh yeah,
that still works. I've
been using it.
I thought I was registered on that like 20 years ago. I gotta re-register.
You gotta re-register, dude.
So you're telling me you don't get any scam calls?
Not often. Almost never.
Not often. Almost never.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they just don't like you, dude.
That's true. I think it's scary.
My phone's all day. I get at least 3 or 4 every day.
That's horrible.
I don't even answer my phone anymore unless I know the number.
Well, yeah. That's crazy. See through 4-foot alien spotted walking through river near interdimensional portal. What about that?
Sweet.
Invisible aliens.
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah.
Sounds like Carrie Cassidy. Project spam a lot.
Did you freeze? What was your question, Curtis? Well, he'll come back. I knew it. It's the Canadian internet. They're trying to shut him down.
Where do you guys stand on this direct energy weapon talk?
Oh yeah.
Well, that was all developed under the Star Wars program in the 80s. So you look into some of the contractors that developed, some of the laser weapons for the Navy and stuff. But I've yet to see anything with their energetic capability to do like the 9/11 Judy Woods stuff. But as far as lighting a fire, you could do that with a pen laser. You don't need a DEW, and then you can look up blasting air hypersonic. Look up those 3 words: blasting air hypersonic. The Drive article there that comes up. So this was a guy named Kevin Kremeyer who worked for, I think Skunk Works or something. And he was using these directed energy to create a plasma that would, with such force that it would supercavitate the air in front of the missile, nose cone of the nose cone of the aircraft or missile. And so they use this on the supercavitating torpedoes and ICBMs for the next gen, Mach 10 plus missile tech. And this was classified up until, just a few years ago, this came out. But that's real, and that uses directed energy. But, the energetics are there. It's enough to, cause that shock wave.
So it's like burning off all the, it burns the air in front of the vehicle so that it's in like
it's like boiling and the torpedo ones boil the water instantly. It's like the pistol shrimp that creates that, that
wow
supercavitating effect. And it just creates that ahead of it, just a few feet in front.
Gunwoo's here. What's up, Gunwoo? How you doing, bro? Your audio is still cut.
Oh, yeah, I'm myself muted. You sent me the Goof Troop acapella.
Oh, bro,
song.
it's so good. I'm sorry. I have the Goof Troop stuck in my head still. Don't bring that up. We're the Goof Troop, and we'll always stick together.
We're talking about the hypersonic missile of the Air Force and whatnot.
Yeah, so the idea that this burns the atmosphere off.
They're pretty much
vacuum.
They're basing this patent off of the Nazi silver Vogel. Essentially, they're
not what's it called? The silver what?
The silver Vogel.
Vogel. Okay.
Yeah.
Silver Vogel. Oh, okay. This is brutal.
That was the first hypersonic, whatever upper atmospheric missile design. Initially supposed to be a passenger, upper atmospheric passenger plane or whatever, which is what Amazon, Virgin Mobile, what they're doing. And they're secretly, using those projects, hiding it as hypersonic missile tests. It's the same playbook from 1945.
Wow, that's a pretty interesting plane. Crazy.
I wore my Space Force T-shirt just for this occasion.
Let me see this. Show me that, dude.
Barksdale Air Force Base.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. When Space Force happened, it felt pretty plausible to me. Also, like if Trump is saying, "Look, there's probably something going on. I don't trust NASA to be in charge of it. I want to create an agency that I can trust, or that he's in charge of. Because he trusts things that he runs. So it seems like just doing that, putting all that effort into it, that it kind of it means there's something. What else is there? I mean, is it just because we're interacting with each other in space, in airspace, or is it because there really is something else out there? I mean,
I'm not entirely clear what their agenda is, but I know this has been in the works since the 80s. With the whole Reagan space Star Wars program. Right, and then we're now seeing more evidence of direct energy weapons becoming public, and then we're now connecting the two and realizing, they're performing tests. The thing is, Russia had a space force since '96, so we're actually late in the game. But yeah, I believe DO technology comes from them.
Yeah, it's weird because if you type in like direct energy weapons right now, there's a bunch of it's all conspiracy theorists. And everything.
Lockheed Martin went public.
But if you add the word Lockheed, then you find a whole other set of articles. You know what I mean?
Yes. You gotta add the filters, man, because it's the surface level disinformation that's really put out.
The cognitive dissonance is insane. We live in the age of doublespeak, and I'm like, it's insane the fact that I got to read 1984 in high school, and we're seeing the reality happen now in such a short time period. I'm like, what the fuck?
I mean, so one page will say there's no capacity for laser weapons. The other page says we're quote finally seeing quote real progress, quote, Missile Defense Agency officials say. I mean, I don't know. It feels like it reminds me of the old days when you could get two newspapers that said the opposite things.
Right.
Run by the same people.
Not only that, how the people that are in denial, they leave a small margin of plausible deniability. It's like, that's so far now in the future. They haven't started testing now or whatever. But then we have that one beautiful photograph of this laser streak hitting that volcano in Indonesia and an eruption following soon after, which is the best evidence of international space lasers.
Oh, the Mountain Dew thing is also part of it, from what I heard.
Yeah.
The Mountain Dew. That's pretty.
Never heard of this one before. Where's that?
there's a bunch of so that's the other thing is you could just type in a volcano direct energy weapon conspiracy, you put that there, and then there's going to be somebody who says there's a bunch of people who think that volcano had a direct energy weapon, and that's pretty much the best way to find an article about it. Is it's like you fight fire with fire. You find the article that's about the article.
The direct energy weapon conversation is relatively new, right? But the thing is, we've been on about HARP for the longest time, and people are still in denial about that. But then there's more public acceptance now these days. But even then, it's like we still have to tackle like the declassification of HARP. Like everyone's to say, oh, it's just like ionosphere array, whatever's for research. But we have patents stating that like ionosphere, setting high frequencies in the ionosphere actually changes weather patterns and whatnot. And the biggest the gap people have a hard time bridging is the links between HARP and earthquakes. But like we have 2 earthquakes within recent memory that are very suspicious, right? The one in Haiti and the recent one in Turkey, the Syrian-Turkey border.
And I'd say the Pakistani earthquake in like 2008 or whatever was pretty weird too.
For those that weren't aware, Haiti was a huge hotspot. It was pretty much the 2008 version of Ukraine for the Clintons. They were doing money laundering, child trafficking. It's all in the WikiLeaks emails. And then the current thing with Syria is Obama failed to topple Assad, which prevented the Iraq, Syria, Iran pipeline, as well as the Qatar-Turkey pipeline.
So Russia has a HARP type facility too, right? Sura,
the woodpecker thing, yeah.
So this is like the over the horizon radar stuff, which by the way doesn't exist because the Earth's flat, clearly.
Right.
And I'm just kidding. This is one of the arguments I use when I talk about curvature. The over the horizon radar stuff relies on the weather conditions in space because these signals have to bounce off the ionosphere. So what you have HARP doing is this high altitude atmospheric research project. Well, it's a big ionospheric heater, and it can shake those atoms and create storms up there by using electronic vibrations that are in the upper atmosphere. And when those storms are occurring in that, you don't have a nice smooth mirror to bounce your signals off of, so that when you're trying to look at what you look like in the mirror is all wavy and distorted. So your signal's the same kind of way. And it's real hard to send signals over the horizon when you're running these kinds of operations, which is, the official story of why it was originally created. And I believe they found some that it did change weather conditions, did cause some weather effects across the globe. And I'm curious though, what's the mechanism for how this ionospheric, driving for, we're driving the
if you want to know how it works, I can pull up the patent right now. There's details and everything.
Do it, yeah.
There's USPTO.
I understand how Tesla's earthquake machine works, with simple harmonic oscillators and the damping function and and critically damped and underdamped.
Go ahead and share your screen if you find that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the USPTO website. I have to type in the patent number itself.
I think I just saw a Peruvian alien behind Gunwoo.
Nice. Dude, you should see his Orthodox outfit. Are you wearing your? What are you wearing?
No,
right
I have it ordered. It might come in the mail.
I got to get one too, but that thing is not cheap to be an Orthodox priest.
No, it's not.
Find the frequency of the tectonic plate and be like, no, all right, well, this one's the frequency for Turkey, and this is the frequency for Haiti, and we're gonna vibrate the atmosphere at that frequency today. Is that I'm curious to read this patent and or this paper on this, because I've read a lot of the HARP literature. In fact, Steve Ellswick, my buddy, wrote the first book on HARP.
Oh shit!
What do you think about that? They're trying to change the environmental frequencies to make them easier to work with, because the math doesn't work with nature. So if we just rewrite nature to conform to the math, then they can do the math that they want rather than fixing the math.
Well, I
You're
think
asking me? Oh, sorry.
Well, go ahead. It sounds like Jeremy's got a thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess saying math has a lot of leeway to, it's kind of like, your imagination or your computer. You can just model things in mathematics. It doesn't mean they're real. You can, just like I can build and model things on my computer. It's all math behind the, computer program that's doing all that. But, so you can model anything with math, but it doesn't mean that it's real or not.
Do you want me to give you the link, or do you want me to share my screen? I can just put it in the private chat.
You can do it either way.
Go in the private chat.
Okay.
So that everybody can download it eventually.
I'll pull it up. So here's the U.S. patent application for 2003 for the hurricane tornado control device.
Tornado control device.
That's fun.
Sweet.
This is one of the evidences we have, like solid proof for HAARP being an actual weather control device.
A method is disclosed for affecting the formation and
patents
the direction of a low atmospheric weather system. Audio generators are positioned to project sound waves towards a peripheral area of a weather system. The sound waves are generated at a frequency to affect the formation of the weather system in a manner to disrupt, enhance, or direct the formation. The sound waves can also be projected in a manner to cause the system to produce rain. That's interesting. Okay, so
you know how with the recent climate change crisis going on, we're running out of grain and fresh water. It's all intentional.
Yeah, I mean, so looking at Korea, right? There's a lot of evidence that the CIA manipulated weather to cause famines in Korea, right?
Oh yeah, no. So the first biological weapons testing the U.S. did was spraying anthrax in North Korea. Which they hired Frank Olson for this reason because he had an agricultural degree. He synthesized the first anthrax that can actually kill crops, and sprayed it all over North Korea, which is why they can't grow food. And then that became the grounds for Agent Orange in the future, and then cloud seeding with Operation Sea Spray, and that's where HAARP kind of led into, with Fort Detrick and MK Ultra working together.
But I thought the Agent Orange is just dioxin. So
Agent Orange isn't anthrax, but it came from whatever they learned from the anthrax testing in Korea, which was a successor to the Unit 731 tests that MacArthur got documented from.
Unit 731. That's a crazy case.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't get the link between the anthrax and the
Oh, I'll show you the full timeline. I finally pieced together
Agent Orange. So Agent.
I had sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. You go ahead. I want to do some research on Agent Orange, right?
Gotcha. No, I just had this manic episode one day. Woke up and I pieced it together, and then got the screen caps together and just posted on Facebook.
There's been some pretty interesting things if you look at just the amount of targeting against Korea in North Korea that was presented by the CIA and the OSS, even when they were trying to create an interzone with Russia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they basically decimated the region and everything within the neutral zone, which now is the healthiest place is the neutral zone because humans aren't able to go there in between North and South Korea. But for the most part, there were nuclear explosions because the Japanese tested their bomb in North Korea right after the war.
This is essentially the layman's. I'm using Wikipedia as like layman's, but this is like a slideshow I kind of put together a screen.
Oh god, isn't there like an anime about Unit 731? God.
Oh yeah, there is. But this is where it starts. Unit 731 happens, and there is possible links with the OSS. The Japanese collaborating with the US to sell off information, et cetera, et cetera. It leads into a further rabbit hole with the the British East India Company.
This is like a Japanese Holocaust paperclip project.
Yeah, essentially. But this, from where I'm starting with the timelines from Unit 731, and then Shiro Ishii, the director, was all that. But he was pardoned by MacArthur, and no one really knows why. Like they say, oh yeah, just because it's because he fessed up the documents or whatever.
But he also pickled people. And
but how the fuck do you get away with something like that degree just because you gave some documents away? There's something bigger here.
Right.
And then we find out later that he worked at Maryland as an advisor to biological weapons, and then Maryland is where Fort Detrick was located, and then I got the slide for that. Frank Olson was handpicked by the OSS because he had an agricultural degree, shipped over to Fort Detrick to work on anthrax, with under the advisory of Shira Ishii. A lot of people don't make that connection that these two people work together. And this is like,
my father was the son of Swedish immigrants who came to this country around 1890. He was born in a small mining town, Hurley, Wisconsin. He goes to the University of Wisconsin to study basically agronomy, growing crops, kind of like a generation beyond the farm in a way. His thesis advisor and chairman of the department there becomes the advisor to the government in setting up this biological warfare installation, calls my father to join in that operation. That's important to remember how quick this whole transformation was from being a laboratory research guy interested in growing things to being involved in biological warfare and killing things.
That's a clip from Wormwood, and this is a slide detailing his education and background. And then this is the point I made earlier, is like people think the famine in North Korea is caused by the sanctions. If you know about anything about North Korean politics, you know that the sanctions don't mean anything to them. They're able to bypass sanctions easy, which is how Kim Jong-un has Mac computers, right? So it's not about
Scotch.
The sanction. Yeah, it's the fact that they sprayed anthrax and they literally can't grow food in their soil. And this is what the next slide. Oh no, not this one. Yeah, we know about that. This particular. So it wasn't until I joined the Air Force that I made this connection together. Because in order to go to Korea, you had to take the anthrax vaccine, and I always wondered why. And I was asking my sergeants and superiors, why do we need to take the anthrax vaccine? And they said, oh yeah, because North Korea could have biological weapons, whatever. That's what they said about Iraq, but they didn't have any. North Korea for sure as shit doesn't have any because their main focus is on nukes. So why are we taking anthrax vaccines? Because the shit that we sprayed there is still in the soil. And then whenever northern winds from China blows down, some of it gets detected on the DMZ, and then everybody has to do mop drills. There's another clip from the documentary Wormwood from Netflix.
My mother always said the one thing that she knew about my father, the person is saying, what this person is doing is the result of some kind of manipulation of their mind, of their brain. This is brainwashing. Whatever they're saying is not coming from them. It's coming from their programming.
I didn't want to use Netflix for copyright reasons, but then this documentary Wormwood was the only documentary to ever feature that confession film of the captured United States Air Force pilots talking about them dropping germ bombs. I tried to find the raw footage there were, and they're the only people that could get it. Next slide. Oh yes, MK Ultra Subproj 7 is how this Unit 731 links to MK Ultra, and then Agent Orange eventually, and then also in tangent the gay bomb that Alex Jones talks about, the fluoride bomb over San Francisco, that too. And then I found this, other people talking about it.
Yeah, it seems like the alien thing and like the transhuman thing are super connected, right? Because like the point is like first contact is really when their dimension and our dimension are met up. What's that movie with the cartoons and Brad Pitt? You know what I'm talking about? Cool World.
Cool World? Not sure.
Messed up. I'm just gonna pull up a real quick tangent. So there's a movie where Brad Pitt gets killed, and he wakes up He wakes up in a cartoon world with Kim Basinger's better self, basically, when all these smutty Ralph Bakshi mind victims. Although Ralph Bakshi took his name off the project because the original version was like, you never F a tune. Because if you do a tune, then like you have some weird alchemical like sex ritual that's the consequence of that. And 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, like bad things start to happen. But they ended up doing a thing where it was like Cool World Scene Apocalypse, maybe. Like the worlds start to collide with each other and people start to like meet each other from the other dimensions that shouldn't, right? And that's where things start to fall apart.
Is this like a Westworld connection type?
I mean, I think it's also kind of like a dimensional alien thing because we talk about aliens being like, they're so far away. Yeah, we believe in aliens, you know, because they eat hot dogs and they play baseball, but they're so far away. You know, I know how like they're further than I can throw. So they're not that big of an issue. That's the way people worry about aliens, unless they're flat earthers, in which case they say, don't worry about it. They don't exist.
Right.
You know, or then you say, hey, there's like other islands. There's probably other things there. Or there's, even if something is far away, has this warp technology, or it's interdimensional.
Or there's a cryptoid race remnants in the underground somewhere, you know?
Yeah. I like that. I like the idea that like there's
the hollow earth stuff. Yeah.
The Gattac, what's a space Battlestar Galactica. The dude who made Battlestar Galactica was Mormon. And his whole thing is that the Zodiac are the 13 different races, although one of them's planet's been destroyed. And at the center is Earth, right? And so some of them have gotten here first, like avians, draconians, reptilians have gotten here first, but some of the other space extraterrestrials took a little longer. Ant people, I don't know, whatever. And they're living underground. They're all under Salt Lake City's mall, but they, you know, they are not allowed to come to the surface that often because of treaties or whatever, except for through their parks.
That's kind of like weighing the far end of things. I feel like this whole alien stuff has a more pragmatic explanation than most would think. Well, the current alien situation we're seeing now is obviously Bluebeam. I mean, we've been talking, like, people have been whistleblowing this since like 85, I believe. But yeah, we're seeing the patterns of Bluebeam all over, and they could be soft pushing this. I don't know if they're actually like going to fully, you know, fake an alien invasion, or
I mean, it looks like this guy. I mean, it feels like it, doesn't it?
Right, but like, I feel like this is just like a media stunt, right? Like a soft push media stunt to distract from the news, to clog up the news cycle, to get over the Epstein stuff and Hunter Biden.
Yeah, could be. I mean, that is obviously like it distracts people.
Right.
To talk about.
But isn't it interesting just in terms of the reality shifting aspect and
right, the paradigm shift we're seeing now from 2016 and to 2019.
Well, this, but also just you talk about dimensions colliding, and in a way, everyone who's looked into that, we already have that with the whole Mandela effect. You know, people remembering different things, and if you look closely, I think almost everyone can find at least one example where they're like, "Oh, what was it now? Who was lying with the lamb? Anybody know?"
I was skeptical about the Mandela effect for the longest time. Like, I knew that something was going on, right? But the main contention is that is CERN affecting? You know, is CERN collisions tearing holes in the reality or something, right?
I think that's what they would want to be able to do, but I don't think they can. I think they would love us to think that.
One very strange case where during the third collision of CERN, third wave collision, a hole appeared in the magnetic magnetic field for like, was it 5 minutes?
Yeah, and there's all these conspiracies that were going on for like 10, 15 years before they finished CERN too, that they said like every time we try to make it work, it doesn't work. It must be because a time traveler is going, like the most Occam's razor probable solution is that a time traveler is turning it off.
Yeah, I was always skeptical about like how does, you know, particle collision have an effect on, you know, reality tearing at all, like, or whatever. But the fact that it teared a hole in the magnetic field,
dude,
is quite significant.
Have you seen The Flash? Did you guys watch the movie The Flash yet?
Like, I actually watched it.
Everybody hates Ezra Miller, but I think Ezra Miller, they're wonderful. I think they're just dreamy. I mean, here's the thing: like, if you're
Frank's cousin,
if you ever are being arrested, you should say you're non-gendered and that you don't want a male police officer to search you. Well, that's an advanced move, as far as I can tell. Right. Good job, Ezra Miller. So, regardless, the movie's probably one of the best DC comic book movies that's ever come out. It's not, I mean, okay, Black Widow's pretty cool and all that, but here's a story about a Mandela effect, because he's like traveling through time. Let's get the right face. He's traveling through time, and in the process creates mandala effects. I don't want to like totally ruin it for you, but it's that good that you should see it, because it's like there's so much stuff there. I feel bad,
Right.
I can't tell you. You know what I mean? Like all the different things from other dimensions that would be mandala. It's all mandala effects. Everything.
So like you're convinced that like the Hollywood and whatnot is slowly releasing truths in movies.
So all right, I want to do one spoiler, but it's going to be like a really small one. So in the movie, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. Spoiler alert: Back to the Future. Let's just talk about this in real life. In real life, Back to the Future originally was filmed all the way through with another actor, and then they refilmed it. And they told everyone the last week, they're like, we're gonna just be doing some cover shots, and then we're gonna refilm it with a new actor because it's not working, but we're gonna keep you guys and everything else like that. So they reshot it again with Michael J. Fox, who they originally wanted but couldn't have because he was in Family Ties. So my conspiracy theory is they always knew this, and they filmed it planning this, because part of the thing is that the movie's about how Biff raped Marty McFly's mother. And so originally the son is from a relationship that's kind of abusive from Biff. And so that's Eric Stoltz, the actor. And instead, Eric Stoltz is replaced with Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, because he's a lot more comedic, but he's also the son of the father character, McFly. So there's like a whole bunch there that's already weird about the movie, and I expect someday you'll see deleted scenes of Eric Stoltz in Back to the Future.
Yeah,
but
they already have put out some scenes. He was terrible. That's why they replaced him.
It's not that he was terrible; it's that he knew what was going on. He knew it was going on. The story's a totally
boring movie with him.
The story is a nightmare scenario where everyone you'll never meet again, because you create a better world. And so in that, your mother's gone and dead, and your father's gone and dead. And these are all new people, and you'll never go home. Right. And he knows that. It's like a funeral for Eric Stoltz. And that's why it didn't work, because it's not hilarious, but he knew what was really happening. Like the whole time he could see through it. Right. And that's, anyway, the point is, in the Flash movie, Eric Stoltz played in the official version, and all kinds of things like that. It's very Mandela effect in every direction, because the noodles bend when they get melted, the strings of time.
Alrighty.
Raph gets it. Raph's like, I saw that. I see where you're going there.
Yeah, I told the example. I have one first-hand account of something like this happening to me. So yeah.
What's your example?
I gave it before, and you can actually maybe briefly pull it up. Maybe some people know Bragg's apple cider vinegar. And I know this because I'm not a Native American. I'm not a native US citizen. I'm not a native English speaker. And I was specifically looking to buy a good, vinegar that I can consume as a, health conscious individual, let's say. And back when I bought it in 2016 I bought it at different stores, different few times. And I just know it said Bragg's. There was an S there. I'm sorry. And of course, now people can say, oh, you're retarded or something, but how could I be that retarded, if it's something so explicit and particular? And that was the sign for me, from my higher self or whatever, kind of giving me that example to make sure I catch on to this, and I have my own first-hand experiential account that there's something there at least,
Yeah, man. I mean,
and also many still pronounce it Bragg's, and I asked some US friends, they said they also remember, oh, look, this is how it should, or not like this, it looked a bit different, but yeah.
Did you see that one Twitter post? Someone actually found a cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom on Twitter.
I've seen a lot of pictures, but I haven't seen like actual evidence that proves it yet.
I don't know, the photo looked pretty convincing. It was apparently a thrift from Goodwill. But
I mean, I'm pretty convinced like the cornucopia was like my memory, but Tim Pool doesn't remember it all. So I feel like we have to be from different dimensions. Mark, do you have any Mandela effects? Do you remember anything that's like not believable?
The only one that kind of hit me was the cornucopia one. That's
right. Yeah.
So I had Fruit of the Loom underwear back when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
But since like the conversation is so derailed at this point, I wanted to go back to the topic of answering Jeremy's question of the link between Unit 731 and Agent Orange. Well, really what I want to harp on was Operation Sea Spray was a slide I was finally getting to. Yeah, if you wanted to
They sprayed DDT. I mean, it's up to countries like now to the World Health Organization approved it, I guess. So it's up to
But
they spray it.
the first aerosolization tests of either biological or whatever started with Operation Sea Spray. Wait, Agent Orange came in 2 phases, right? First, it was
Agent Blue.
It was the rain stuff, right? They were intentionally manipulating weather to cause more rainstorms to flood out the Viet Cong tunnels. And then it came with the orange spray that caused all of these weird problems. But yeah, the weather, yeah. So like, yeah, the first phase, the weather stuff, that's cloud seeding, which I'll get to eventually. But like the biological end of things, the real orange cloud comes from Operation Sea Spray, which as you can see, they initially tested it in San Francisco Bay, California, which I was also the spot for the gay bomb eventually. And then you have Agent Orange, yeah, the herbicide stuff, Monsanto, huge tangent there, and then where is it? Is it here? Yeah. Operation Popeye. Yeah, that was the first phase of technically Agent Orange, right? Where there were cloud seeding to flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail. And then leads to, this explanation of what cloud seeding is, showing people that this is a reality, right? And then you have the chemtrail conspiracy theory.
Right. Well, like if you look at Cambodia and you know anything about Agent Blue, Agent Orange, there's the rainbow herbicides. Those are all open programs, and you can find out where they started. And a lot of those chemicals didn't start like we're going to build Agent Orange. It started out that they were trying to build a super soldier drug or geoengineering weather spray or something beneficial. And when they found out it wasn't like going to be very useful to America, they figured out it'd be very useful as a weapon against,
But this is where things started to turn. It's like they're using that weapon against the global population to sell as like stock or like, because we're in peacetime. There isn't really a global war going on. So,
but there's economic wars like the Banana Republic. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that's just wanted to point out the fact that they're testing this shit on us. With chemtrails being present everywhere across internationally, we're seeing an international decrease in nutrients and due to the deduction of soil quality
and water quality.
Right. This is essentially what we're seeing is what's happening in North Korea, but to like an accelerated degree with with the use of anthrax. They're currently with chemtrails, it's heavy metals. And then next slide being, the global fresh water supply being dried up due to HARP, what you touched on earlier.
In general, weather shifting that they're trying to do. Yeah.
One of the things that bothers me is all the people that post like the pictures but they don't give like time of day and coordinates and location and other data that we can use to like go on Flight Radar 24 and get the actual flight and tail numbers of the planes that are doing this. And
right, but the things like that will never be public. I got to see a sliver.
Also, I think the sailboat, I think a big one that people miss. I think there are things that are public. So for instance, you can look at what FedEx is doing, and it's pretty impressive. Like they're getting away with flying all over the world, and they have private planes. You can look at what the shipping of boats of freights are doing, and there's articles about geoengineering that they're saying, oh look, we're doing it, we just didn't notice that it was because of the boats, the ships. Oh man, ship clouds.
I thought you meant military side, like private. Yeah, it's obviously public, but in the military,
I think a lot of this stuff is private because it's so much easier to, have
right,
a corporation. Like, especially because you have a revolving door policy between government and corporations.
Right. Yeah. Also, we do subcontract a lot.
So, like, who's funding it? It would be like Bill Gates to be like.
I mean, Monsanto is a huge player here. What I pointed out earlier. But so Monsanto.
I think also you can look at like lead.
They'd have to have a whole air force.
Well, just the way things work is enough. So if you have enough boats and they're bringing back and forth freights, and you have enough Chinese boats bringing back freights, that's going to produce enough emission in the right places. And if they're able to fly directly over that, they're able to disrupt it. So there's several layers to it that things are contributing to make it possible. But there's environmental consequences to everything we do, and they're able to use them. I'm pretty sure is the plan. Like you're using all of the corporation consumerism is definitely playing into the climate change, because that's what they try to tell us. They're like, oh, it's all your fault, right?
Oh yeah. You guys mentioned like private Air Force, whatever, stuff like that. Look into DynCorp, DYN Core. It's like, I was notified
the whole child trafficking scandal with.
Yeah. When I was in Qatar, I was familiarized with them and whatever. They were recruiting Air Force guys over there, and then got to interact with a few employees and whatnot. But yeah, I believe they're contracted with Monsanto.
46.
80, lol.
Yeah, it's like Wookiee Corp.
Kosovo, dude. Look, hey, go back. All the country lists they operate in are like prominent hotspots for child trafficking
and war childhood. Pretty brutal. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of these corporations, I think, that are built for this purpose. I mean, we're showing this picture of the Wardenclyffe Tower.
Mhm.
I mean, right? That's an example where perhaps the Siberian meteor or whatever, the Tunguska explosion, was really the Wardenclyffe Tower. There's been evidence put out.
Yeah. There's also
Yeah.
Another thing that a lot of people neglect is the fact that the FBI seized all of Tesla's patents and whatnot. It had John G. Trump's grandfather had personally inspect all the patents, and they came up with a neutral conclusion saying they weren't a big deal. In fact, while capitalizing the patents for Department of Defense. And then, the Haiti stuff I mentioned, Clinton connection, and there's the WikiLeaks stuff. And yeah, this is I remember in 2011 or so, actually like hearing about conspiracy theories surrounding about the Haiti earthquake being caused by HAARP. But, I was too young to even care about it then. But then re-looking back at it now, there's so much evidence. But it's just the fact that, like, to entertain the psychologically the connection between, high frequency waves somehow causing an earthquake in Haiti is quite the
leap.
And
our government. It's like, Mark, Pink Trip, how does this make you feel? As an American.
I don't know what the hell we're talking about, dude.
Weaponization, like the government's using crazy weapons to environmentally destroy and change other places, make earthquakes in other countries, destroy the crops of other countries, create famines. It's been going on since at least World War II, like since after World War II. How does that make you feel as an American?
No, there's a lot of stuff that our government does that I don't like. And I don't know, man.
Wow, I just posted another one in the private chat. Have you ever heard of Operation Large Area Coverage?
Ooh.
LAC, Operation LAC.
This one's new to me.
Yeah, they dispersed microscopic zinc cadmium sulfide particles over the United States.
Ooh,
I've been looking for this one.
Missed
you know
it?
what? We got.
They also used Bacillus golbigi, which was used in, I believe, sea spray.
I think Sam's here, guys. It's Sam.
Whoa! Oh my gosh! Wait! Hold on! Wait! What? Oh, we're live! We're live!
There it is. Good to see you, Sam. What's up?
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, gentlemen. Broadcasting live deep from an underground military bunker or a spaceship high above the plane of Earth. From the most trusted puppet in media, reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman. Happy hump day, gentlemen. Happy hump day. I've been listening to the show this whole time, and of course, you've been talking about UFOs, UAPs, aliens. Someone who was at Roswell, there on the ground. Now, I can't talk about everything, but I can talk about a few things. Everything else that I can't talk about is because I signed NDAs. But I will tell you this. There's no such thing as little green or gray men, at least the way how you've been told. But I will tell you that the intelligence apparatus, the, what do they say, the alphabet agencies, didn't actually get their foot off the ground, figuratively, until the Nazis were integrated due to Operation Paperclip. That is fact. That is, you can research that. Now, anything beyond, listen, anything beyond that, well, it could be speculative. And I understand that. Misinformation, propaganda, Mockingbird, all of that stuff. But the one thing that I will tell you, other than that there are lands on the other side of the ice wall, is that the moon, yes, the moon. Listen, I might get in trouble for this. But yes, it's made out of cheese. It is made out of cheese. The moon is made out of cheese. People often want to debate which kind. That's probably their own personal preference, but I'm telling you right now, it's Swiss. It is Swiss. But
that would explain the tunnels.
Oh, the Swiss got there first.
That's yeah, it's because banking. No, you're right. It's because
you're right. It's the Rothschilds.
Absolutely, yeah.
They can't keep getting away with it.
Yeah, gosh, listen, they're already there. Oh no, oh my gosh. But anyways, gentlemen, I was sitting there listening to the whole conversation, and of course, you open the door right to what I was going to talk about. Let me see if I can bring this back up here. Hold on, just a moment. I had something. Yes, here we go. Robert William Barker, born December 12th, 1923, died August 26th, 2003, otherwise known as Bob Barker, was an American game show television host, hosting CBS's The Price is Right, the longest running game show in North American television history from 1972 until his retirement in 2007. Now, what's interesting about Bob Barker, other than the fact that he lived to be 99, and if that serves me correctly, that is close as you can get to $1 without going over. So he made it, tip of the cap to old Bob, but over the last couple of days, I've had people asking me questions. And they said, well, this doesn't make sense, Sam. Why are they reporting on Bob Barker's death now? Didn't he die a few years ago? And it was interesting because then I sat there and I said, whoa, hold on, wait a minute. Why are people doing this? And then the next thing you know, I start seeing meme after meme after meme of rest in peace, Bob Barker, with Nelson Mandela waving at him. So it goes back to then the question you guys were just talking about a few moments ago, talking about CERN, talking about how worlds and dimensions colliding, or is it just people misremembering? That's what I wanted to ask you guys. Bob Barker passing away, in terms of what we know, was this past Saturday. But there is a segment of the population, just like Nelson Mandela, I think he was already dead. Xirtus, you get the floor. You go first.
I like that we talked about this yesterday. I like that he died at 99 this time because, that's the prime timeline where he doesn't quite go to $1. He doesn't roll over. So I think that's probably...
So it was 99 when he passed away,
according to this version. But my first video I ever really put out was about Bob Denver and how Bob Denver has died over 100 times. Bob Denver died in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. He still dies.
Denver or John Denver? Is it John Denver?
Bob Denver, who played in Gilligan's Island and in Dobie Gillis. The Dobie Gillis guy. Yeah.
Yes.
Maynard G. Krebs. And I felt like there's literally a timeline that opened up where Dobie Gillis exists, and I'm in a timeline from where Dobie Gillis existed, but a lot of people at the time weren't from the Dobie Gillis timeline. And I probably wasn't from the Dobie Gillis timeline originally because I know a lot about media. I didn't hear about Dobie Gillis with Bob Denver until like 2012. You know what I mean? And so I felt like there was some really weird thing there, like the whole universe, and it's a better universe. The Bob Denver universe is a better universe. So hopefully Bob Denver's a time traveler. And I think Barker's probably a time traveler too.
Maybe he's the one pushing CERN's buttons, as you guys
I'm
were
a
talking
big Quantum Leap fan.
Right?
So that's,
All right. Anybody else? The whole Mandela effect. What's going on? You guys remember Bob Barker? I mean, he was hosting The Price is Right up until he said he was 82 years old. When asked why he was retiring at 82, he said, well, I wanted to make sure I was still young. because I have a lot more life to live.
Yeah,
something to that effect. So,
cool. Mark, what about you? What do you think about Bob Barker? You watch The Prices, right? I can tell.
Well, when it comes to people thinking people died, every year my dad tells me Clint Eastwood died. I have to tell him, no, Dad, Clint Eastwood's still alive.
Yeah.
That's because there's so many bullshit. My dad's an older gentleman, and there's so many bullshit videos on YouTube where the title's like Clint Eastwood died to get you to click it. So, and people's memories are terrible.
Clint Eastwood will never die.
I remember when he said Napoleon Dynamite died, and I started reading the article, and it was like he died a stupid death, and I was like, oh, this is fake.
Yeah. It tricks the older people.
Right.
What about Dolly Parton though? Do you think she's a clone? Like, or is she still alive? Is it still her?
I think her titties are clones.
Man.
For sure.
Yeah, that's about right. But we all can agree when it does come to clones. Earlier today, I don't know if you saw this, but Mitch McConnell froze again.
Right. Yeah, this is important.
He froze up again. The
What's up with
second time he's been powered down. Now, my question is he a clone? Is he a robot? Or does he just need to hang it up? My gosh.
Yeah, what's Ultra about? You think so? You don't think that Mitch McConnell's got some other... I mean, because he did act like... I mean, come on. Is it just the pills he's on? Is it the guided meditation session tapes that they have on his pod? What is it? What's he doing? What's making him that weird? He's being pretty weird.
He's having a health moment. To me, it's just he's
a health moment.
Yeah, these people need to retire, but they never do.
So Biden's not in a rubber mask. He's just having a health moment, even though he looks completely different than he used to.
Well, no, Joe Biden.
I think we're entering into like prescription. Okay, do you ever watch old movies?
Right,
I watch a lot of old movies. Nothing about the drugs they're on. I don't know. It's one thing. I always, as a kid, I'd be like, wow. This whole 60s, you can tell they're on marijuana. Oh, wow. This 80s, they're on cocaine, and it's like you can see it in the lighting, how much cocaine they're on. And when amphetamines changes the fluorescence in like 87, and I find that interesting. Like we entered and exited cocaine and marijuana culture in the 90s. And the 90s actually became this weird yuppie Clintonian culture. And there's a lot of prescription drugs that started, Adderall and all this other stuff started being pushed, and now we're in the prescription. I think we're in the prescription drug culture, and I think that's really like you'll hear people tell bad jokes, like dad jokes on Twitter, and they're like, it's like they're on Ambien. They're like, and then they'll join in. I think people are becoming accepting of their like everyone around them being on like SSRIs and all these things, and it's maybe the greater majority of people interacting at work with people like that.
Well, that's why they always say sober is the new high, right? So
yeah, but they think they're sober because they're on their prescription drugs. They take it as soon as they wake up in the morning, and they're all surrounded by people that do it too.
Oh, it's crazy. It is very crazy. The last thing that I wanted to bring up before I head out of here was the fact that it seems that the Hollywood strike, that there's no end in sight. The Hollywood strike, there's no end in sight. Yes, I'm a poet and I know it, but the thing that I wanted to bring up was a CGI expert who broke ground on Terminator 2 and Jurassic Park has predicted a startling future for Hollywood when it comes to AI. The next leap and what it'll do and how it will fool anyone. And that we will have an all CGI AI created movie, but it will fool us because we will think that it's real.
Yeah, I think we got. When is that going to happen?
I'm not sure. I guess that's the question. When is that going to happen? This guy says that it's not too far off. Yes, under 5 years. Over under 5 years. Hell, over under before the end of the 2024 election season. Damn it, right?
Yeah, I think the thing is it doesn't need to do it because you've already got kids watching CGI SpongeBob in real time. Like kids are satisfied. The next generation's already moved on. So it doesn't really matter if the old people are satisfied. Anybody over 35, they don't care if we are satisfied with the new Coke, like they don't care. Like get over it is what they're going to tell us. And the new kids are going to just immediately, they have now AI generated media. It exists now. And so that means it's the end.
The thing is, we assume that, these people are satisfied because that's what we're seeing on a surface level, and that's the marketing of it all. But really, we're seeing a reactionary pushback to the hedonism the hyper-hedonism we're seeing in the West and the East. So we're seeing like a Christian revival happening in Ashbury again. We're seeing all these people turn to religion, trying to find like meaning in their lives, or like going on like spiritual journeys, or like the hyperbolization of yuppie culture. So yeah, we're seeing that as a reactionary, and so I think there is hope that we can have a humanist movement again.
Well, I believe that there was the judge just ruled recently that I believe that AI art could not be copyrighted or something to that effect, or I was trying to find it over here. Anyways, it was a judge basically saying that AI art it's not real. Is basically what the judge was saying.
Trademarks, right?
Registered trademarks. That's what it was. Yes, I knew it was something.
But it can be generated, and people can make money off of it.
Right.
So that's all the better.
Right. Yes. It had to do with copyright and trademark with AI art.
I think it's just because we're moving closer to the Chinese model, and in the Chinese model, like trademark isn't respected the same way because innovation isn't as important as follow through. If you can get it made, if you can get it sold, this is more important than if you can come up with an idea, because eventually the ideas will happen or they'll be taken, like if they're good enough, right? It's very
and then of course someone will do it better. Someone will do it better, similar to that. Well, and of course this brings me, of course, to my radio show on Saturday mornings, and of course your time when you were a child, Transformers. People will tell you that third-party Transformers made by anyone other than Takara and Hasbro are much better than the ones that are made by Takara and Hasbro. So it's very interesting. It goes right back to that. Those third-party Transformers are better, but of course, in my world, we all know that GoBots are better and Rock Lords are superior. Yes, that is the case.
Transformers, I mean, it's more than meets the eyes.
Yeah, it was just stolen from Japanese, cartoons. And then all the kids in the 80s ate it up. But anyways, the reason why kids ate it up is because there was imagination and nostalgia everywhere. And one of the things that I do every Saturday morning is that I have a radio show, an actual broadcast radio show on the FM airwaves. And of course, you then ask, well, Sam, how can I listen to it? Well, there's several ways. You can follow me at Sam Newsman all over social media. That's when I show my beautiful puppet face for several segments during the show. But during the parts when you're not seeing my beautiful puppet face, what you are seeing are cartoon themes. Oh, yes. And of course, I do reels every single day. News reels about what's happening. I'm just reading headlines. Very rarely do I commentate. I might say a little something, but I'm just reading headlines. Just reading headlines on a day-to-day basis, doing it every single day since the first of the year. Need to do the one for today after this show, which is crazy. I think I want to say that the punchline is going to be something about the Whopper, that the Whopper was shrunk, and somebody is suing Burger King because the Whopper has shrunk. So that'll be a little bit later tonight. I'll talk about that.
Nice.
But every Saturday morning, I have a radio show and I play cartoon themes. Those cartoons were a magical part of your Saturday morning, along with toys, action figures. And when you're not seeing my beautiful puppet face on those segments that I was telling you about a minute ago, you are hearing cartoon themes. Of course, you can always request cartoon themes, listen to the show, and you'll be able to hear it live by downloading the Live 365 app. The Live 365 app, searching WDCE, and you'll be able to listen to the show live 9 to noon every Saturday morning. Yes, that's a real broadcast microphone. Look at that thing. Man,
it's a real broadcast puppet right there.
Right. Yes. I mean, look at it. That's a sharp looking guy. Anyways, so this Saturday morning, definitely would like to have you guys listen. Eventually, we're going to be able to get podcast up and everything and blah, blah, blah. But we're just, once again, small operation. And of course, been reporting since Roswell. I'm the authority for all of that. And of course, being a real media puppet, bringing back the magic and nostalgia of Saturday morning, hosted by, of course, me, a real media puppet. Hold on, wait.
I knew it. See, because he's got these puppets and he has to. There's a lot of voices in there, man.
Fucking awesome.
Okay. So listen. Anyways, every Saturday morning, I don't know what was going on. Sorry, I just had just a little disruption there. But every Saturday morning,
those puppets to get out of their strings.
Every Saturday morning, you listen to the show at Sam Newsman. Xirtus, I want to thank you again for letting me be a part of the show. You guys are always having some of the best conversations.
Sam, it's always good to have you. You're a wonderful
Absolutely.
puppet.
Anyway, so broadcasting live deep from an underground military bunker. That's dumb if you are getting the letters. Or maybe from a spaceship high above the plane of Earth, from the most trusted puppet in media. Reporting since Roswell, I'm Sam Newsman.
I love his purple
Awesome.
eyeshadow.
Thanks so much, Sam. That was hilarious.
He's a
Don't
handsome
fart
person.
down in that bunker either, because
he's got a pretty mouth.
He's a good guy. Well, so I mean, thoughts. Where do I even go from there? I don't know.
Yeah, where do we go from here now, man?
Yeah, I mean, you guys were talking about Chinese IP and whatever. Well, that's another layer to the trade war. And the
wasn't
RCP.
there really quickly, Curtis? You were showing a painting you did. Is that right? What's this painting of? Is this of Trudeau? Is this of blackface President Trudeau? Is that what that is?
Yeah,
What?
not my paint. My good
Oh my
friend.
god.
Yeah,
That's a lot of dedication.
Holy
You gotta auction
That's
that
a lot
sucker
of work.
off, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I live
That's-
right above my friend's art studio. We share the space, and
Oh, that's
one of his paintings,
hilarious.
so I had to show that off to you guys.
Jeez,
pretty
well, you guys.
base.
That's dope.
No, I
Is
gotta read my
Castro's kid or
UFO
what?
rap.
Yeah, he's Castro's kid.
Oh, brutal. Probably. I think.
Oh,
I mean, it makes the
deadass.
most sense. Studio
Uh-huh.
54. There should be a cool movie about
No,
that.
the
at very least.
physiognomy you can't deny.
Also, he's getting divorced, and I wonder, in Illuminati dynamics, what does that mean?
Yeah, I feel like it just means like his wife isn't getting paid enough to like pretend anymore, and it's like the dude isn't very convincing, and so it's like, why do we care? And it's also 2023. He's already been elected, or is it? Isn't there one? Is there one more election for him, or is he good? I
He's got
forget.
elected again. How did he win?
I don't vote,
Exactly.
don't
Like they
ask
don't.
me.
They don't. Yeah, like I think he's done. I think they got him through the double election thing. I forget how Canada works, but I think he's.
I think he's got another election. And I heard that they're actually crashing in the polls. The Liberal
Well,
Party.
he
over there.
had been, yeah, but like I don't know. He'll
Dude, there's
probably
people like bombing his every time he appears on TV. There's people like bombing his like news cycles. They're saying,
Well, yeah,
like,
there's like pictures
Trudeau!
of him like Club Barbie, and he's got like the Barbie T-shirt to go
Yeah.
see the Barbie movie. And you're like,
Not only
okay.
that, like just like yelling, he's like, "Yo, tell the truth to people."
But if he said he was if he was Team Oppenheimer, like wouldn't that have been worse? As I think that maybe he did the right thing with the Barbie movie. So I don't know. I feel like he's damned if he does and doesn't. It doesn't really help, no matter what happens to him.
But yeah, so like, are we?
Oh, you
done
want to
on
talk about
aliens?
Korea, but I want to talk about aliens. I also want to talk about JFK because I feel like the JFK thing is really important to the alien conversation.
I was gonna lead this whole Unit 731 stuff into like how the meme virus 19 came into creation, linking
Yeah.
Korea and China.
All right,
But,
we can do it.
That's all on the slide that I was gonna present.
We can pull this if you guys want to do that. I'm curious about that you can show how like the lead of that is. I mean, my main thought was just about how like the JFK thing in the 60s, because the assassination of JFK and the nuclear like submarines and all the technology that was in the 60s, it seems like they're connected ideas. Like the CIA took over the military, took over the presidency, right?
So like ever since
Yeah.
Paperclip, all the suppressed projects the Nazis never got to do, they resurrected. And with Alan Dulles, his connection with SS, huge there. But yeah, I see you smiling.
I'm also just thinking about like Mark, and I'm like, oh, poor Mark, because he's like, we're talking about CIA time travel submarines.
Oh yeah, well, hold on, I was gonna share
It's
my
like, I
screen.
hate talking about CIA submarines.
Shit, present, share screen.
Well, that's interesting. I did a whole argument debate. I did a debate against Michael Shermer of Skeptic Magazine on Monday, and he sort of took the Oswald acted alone position, and I argued on the other side, and found a lot of his research was out of date. A lot of new evidence, a lot of new documents and stuff have come to light. So it turns out the Payne family, who brought the Oswalds from New Orleans to Dallas, Texas, housed them and got Lee Harvey Oswald the job at the School Book Depository. Well, it turns out her sister was Sylvia Hyde Hoke, and she was this was Ruth Payne's sister, And Ruth visited and stayed with her sister in September 63, a month before the assassination. Really interesting stuff, but it just shows you like that pretty much everyone Oswald was connected with had like CIA connections. And then all these, the JFK assassination, the real deep research on it is just like it's literally a who's who understanding of, you know, who took control of our government in 1963 and who's been running it in secret behind the scenes for the past 60 years. It's literally a map of all that. You have 3 future presidents all there in Dallas, you know, meeting.
And it definitely seems like it's connected. Like they get rid of Kennedy, and then all of a sudden it's like this: the people who were in charge of Roswell run the country. Is that? Am I under?
I think it's all what Eisenhower warned us about. And I got to give a shout out. There's a channel called America's Untold Stories. They go deep into detail on Ruth Payne and like the whole JFK thing. So check that out if you like to hear some good JFK stuff.
One point I wanted to make was
yeah, these guys are great. Dan, this Mark Grobert is his name. He's awesome. Man.
I mean, because you're in Texas, so you're like you got to be kind of. You've been around Mark? You've been around the, you know, grassy knoll.
Yeah, I mean, I know it really well. I've driven by there, but I never really stopped. I mean, to me, it's a clear cut. Like, it obviously wasn't just Oswald. Anybody that believes that at this point, you just, I don't know.
Yeah, the Warren Commission was left with the task of explaining all those bullet holes, and they came up with the whole magic bullet theory. But it's a stretch of the imagination to really believe that, you know, that's. Right. What happened.
Also, recently there was found footage of Grassy Knoll having a puff of smoke coming out. So yeah, they're confirming there was multiple shooters. Not only that, the one point I wanted to mention earlier was the fact that the Oswald Patsy scenario follows the same playbook as Timothy McVeigh. So, you know,
there's a lot of weird stuff in Back to the Future too, right? So like Back to the Future is kind of about how time travel and JFK are connected. So like for one thing, I mean, you know, there's a lot of things. There's a 9/11.
I don't know what movie you were watching, dude.
Back to the Future. Back to the Future has, first off, who the hell is JFK? Who the hell is John F. Kennedy? Is that line he says, because he lives in a world where John F. Kennedy hasn't happened yet. And
I don't remember that.
Okay, so he gets hit in the head. Where is it at? He gets hit in the head.
Is depicted in Back to the Future as the Baines family brings television into their home for the first time. It's brought up.
Baines family?
Who the hell is John F. Kennedy? Who the hell is John F. Kennedy? Who the hell is John F. Kennedy? The other thing is that the whole area of the Grassy Knoll is the same road area as the courthouse. If you notice, when they go around the courthouse, the entire courthouse has this triangular area. Everything is triangulated. The other thing, where was the scene? In the Back to the Future, you got the picture where his head's peeling in the book, so you can see that actually if you zoom in, the piece of paper shows his head peeling, and the road's not named JFK anymore. Oh, where's the other part? The other part is that there's a bust.
So Marty McFly says, "Who the hell is JFK?" Is that who says it?
No, Marty McFly's father-in-law, or no, his grandfather does.
Okay, when he's meeting his mom as
because he's like, what you want to do is you want to go down like Stanwich Drive. I forget what the name of the drive is. Like, wait, that's John F. Kennedy Drive. And he's like, who the hell is John F. Kennedy?
Oh, well, wasn't that because when did he go? What time did he go back?
1955. So it's before JFK is.
Okay.
So you're told then the JFK is important. Then in Back to the Future 2, he goes into the future shop and they have a bunch of pictures of the presidents, but they have JFK's head actually like cut. Like he's got it's like a book end. So you have it cut right where he shot in the head. Here, let me see if I can find that. So if you look, where is it? You've got presidents.
Who takes the time to do this?
Secretly depicted in a storefront window of Hill Valley's town square.
See, and it's the bookend, and it's just cut right where he shot in the back of the head. You know?
Oh, come on, that's a little bit of a stretch.
Well, I mean, they put it all.
Yeah, that's classic symbology. Man.
They build the place. They have it be a triangle. What's the whole point of the movie? In a lot of ways, they have to go around that area that's shaped in the exact same triangulation that he shot at. That exact moment where the lightning strikes is the moment when JFK is shot.
The thing is, I understand this stuff happens in movies. You know, we have the Kubrick stuff like as a clear evidence that like they're disseminating symbology in movies and whatnot. But it's just like, why are they taking the time to do so?
I mean, I have to imagine it must have been, more important to them for some reason, right? Well, why do you put those symbols in your movie? Make it because it also means that
so
JFK's assassination is really important as a meta analogy for the person who's making this movie
Artists love
because they're
putting
putting all
subliminal
these
stuff
things in
into
it.
their film.
Right? Yeah, artists do love that. Can you what elaborate? Dang it! Because the internet in Canada, they don't want him to tell you the truth. You got
getting that Chinese firewall.
If you need any examples, just watch Canadian media. Turn on the Canadian
Right,
television.
An animator or a filmmaker.
You're gonna have to try again. They won't let you.
It's possible.
I mean, when you're making a movie frame by frame, you're building all the sets. You're gonna implant the meaning into it, but
Oh Lord, they're taking him out.
Jesus.
Oh, this is it. Oh, I think
well,
Look, it's definitely possible that they could have did that on purpose, but it's also possible it could just, be a coincidence.
Canadians have bad
You're reading too much into it.
It's so grotesque to me, the fact that they're like bragging about tragedy. To me, that doesn't.
How
that's how I
many
perceive it.
movies? How many movies are there that people just accidentally have, like the set designer accidentally? Whoops! Oh, we gotta put some stuff in the scene.
No, yeah. The thing is, people call it a stretch, right? But the thing is, millions of dollars go into every little detail.
You got a person who's writing it down, so that the next week they can make sure the same stuff's in the same
It's
place.
a whole chain of bureaucracy going on. It's like approval and making sure this nothing happens on set without approval. So
Right.
someone consciously put shit like
They
that in
poured concrete to make the
Right.
roads intersect at this angle. Like, there's too much effort put into making the courthouse
Exactly.
town. Which
Okay, so
burned
just
down, by the
sorry,
way.
one not to derail completely, but one off question. So this means the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones actually was a product placement.
I don't know that one. Game of Thrones Starbucks. Pulling it up right now. Is that a thing that happened?
Yeah.
Where's the cup?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Shit. It's yeah. I mean, yeah, right? That had to be on purpose.
That's just a shameless plug, bro. That's just advertising. That
can't be
that's
an
nothing.
accident.
Yeah, it can be. There's tons of accidents in movies where
Dude.
somebody misses something. I edited a video where my mouse cursor was in the whole video the whole time I edited it and never noticed it until I posted it, and everybody was like, "Oh, the mouse cursor." I
Okay,
didn't
but
see it at all.
but again, cocaine 80s is over, so there's not that many people that are still just like
It's
having
all
fun while they
Vyvanse
edit.
Hollywood.
No, it
Yeah.
happens. Jake. Mistakes happen. People
I mean,
go.
you can
go
see that in the
blind with shit.
70s and the 80s. You'll see a boom mic come
You
in.
don't
a
make
shot.
mistakes
All
on
right.
Vyvanse, bro. I can tell you that from experience.
Yeah, I mean, if the military and the Mormons get involved with editing, I think it's
Right.
kind of.
So
They're already interconnected. The Mormon, so like everyone, like it's like a boogeyman, like the Christian lobby or whatever. But really, in reality, it's the Freemasons and the Mormon lobby that make up the Christian lobby, which are intersected with the FBI, CIA, and parts of the Air Force.
regardless of that very vague description, the mayor of Dallas was Earl Cabell, and his brother was actually Charles Cabell, who was fired by Kennedy, a CIA guy. And Earl Cabell, as mayor of Dallas, helped change that motorcade route to make it go by the school book depository building.
Interesting.
So like there's all these connections. This is that, again, America's Untold Stories. A lot of information has come to light through that guy's research, and a number of other people have been getting documents released from the assassination archives, and there's still 5,000 documents left. We don't have the George Joannides file, which is going to be key to
we just need a re-elect Trump to get that JFK file.
And RFK Jr.'s got to give him props because he's out there, out there and saying, listen, the CIA was involved in these murders and the cover-ups of them,
He also blew the whistle on ethno bioweapons happening in Ukraine, being developed by the NATO labs.
Yeah.
Which I can I have links to that too in the slideshow.
Yeah, he's doing great work. And RFK Jr. again, he was killed by Sirhan, allegedly by Sirhan, but Sirhan was in front of him in the pantry as RFK walked into the pantry. And if you look at the autopsy report, the shot that killed him was fired directly up and into the back of his head.
Mm-hmm.
From the back and the right side of him, or
right where Marty McFly hits the back of his head.
No, this is right where a security guard was standing, who was walking him into that back pantry room during the time. And that security guard, his name was a guy named Thane Eugene Caesar, and he died in the Philippines recently. And then that's when RFK Jr. came forward and started mentioning the guy's name.
Okay.
But Thane Eugene Caesar was, he's tied in with all these CIA guys again. Like Joe Anides was seen at the hotel that night. They got like videos. Someone went through like all the videos of the hotel that night. This was a documentary called RFK Must Die, which was put out a couple years back. And I don't know. You can't find that documentary now.
There's a wiki page about it. So
yeah, there's a wiki page about it, but I got to find an actual copy of this documentary because I want to save it.
I'll send you a file.
The thing is, the more you talk about RFK, the more I want to get into the slideshow because, like, the one thing that blew up on Twitter in the news cycle was the fact that he blew the whistle on the labs, the ethnic bioweapon stuff. But like the thing that I wanted to mention was that I believe is in '92 or some shit, Russia banned sampling of biological. Yeah, they banned biological samples of humans to prevent this years prior to this ever happening. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Yeah, it was May 2007. Russian ban on export of biological samples. So yeah, the timeline adds up. This stuff, this specific page. Let me zoom in. I can. Hold on.
If you right click it, you can open it as an image, and you can,
All right, do I have to share the whole screen?
That's okay. Maybe you can just put top left. There's the little zoom in button.
Share screen, the whole entire screen.
Yeah. So that guy Thane Eugene Caesar, in all caps, is that comment. He was a Skunk Works security guard for the Skunk Works, and for some reason, he was working at the security detail, the Ambassador Hotel that night. Said that he'd been working for that security company for a while, but they don't seem to have a record of him, and there's like all kinds of discrepancy about was he a real security guard, what was he doing at the hotel that night. And then also you have Paul Schrade. If you look up Paul Schrade got shot in the face by Sirhan walking into the pantry, and he swears and testifies, that he didn't shoot that Sirhan did not shoot RFK. It was another shot. There was another shooter, and he was there. A number of other witnesses, then they counted the shots. There was 2 extra bullet holes in the door frame behind RFK, and then the police who were investigating this, it turns out that the head investigator for the Los Angeles police, this guy Manuel Pina, was a CIA agent. And so he was basically destroying evidence and tampering with the investigation every step of the way to cover up the real assassins in that case and blame it all on Sirhan. Sirhan, of course, was a hypnotized Manchurian candidate patsy, part of the MK Ultra's hypnosis program, which was run by a guy I just posted named William Joseph Bryan Jr. And that all came to light recently. According to, a lot of the people that the woman that used to hang out with William Joseph Bryan Jr., he used to brag about, having programmed the guy that killed RFK, about programming Sirhan. And in Sirhan's notes, you notice that in a couple unexplainables is in the weeks before the assassination, when he was in this trances and stuff. One of the notes in Sirhan's journal is DeSalvo. Now, DeSalvo was the Boston Strangler, and he got the Boston Strangler to confess to the Boston Strangler murders while under hypnosis. And that was MK Ultra Dr. William Joseph Bryan Jr., this same guy. And then, during the debate I had with Michael Shermer, he mentioned many times that, like, oh, all these juries, convicted these people in courts of law. And well, this guy wrote the book on jury selection and jury hypnosis, basically like jury tampering, William Joseph Bryan Jr. And he had multiple degrees, including law degrees, as well as, medical degrees and other degrees, so this guy was,
that's the thing. A lot of these stories about seeing aliens seem to be the CIA hypnosis, where they make you think you're on drugs and they wear a funny mask.
Right. The psychological discrediting that mentioned the Frank Olson's son from Sub-Project 7 leads into Bluebeam, and then the whole.
But the bioweapon thing is interesting because, so you just showed an article earlier. I don't know if this is the one, but it talked about Heinlein's Sixth Column, and I've been reading a lot of Starship Troopers books by Heinlein, the books around it, and The Moon's a Harsh Mistress and all that. But Sixth Column is interesting because it's talking about not just weaponization to destroy the crops, but also to change the people. And we keep hearing about the idea of transhumanism or super soldiers, and it's like evolution, if you can force it. From there, you can control who survives mutation. This is a period where the X-Men comics are being put out and Americans are hearing about chemicals being used for superheroes. I mean, the biowarfare, the germ bomb, it seems like it's a pretty we hear about it veiled through different means, but we knew it was happening the entire time.
Yeah, and like, oh shit, well, I lost my train of thought just now.
The ABO blood system, what's this about?
Oh yeah, so like more credit to the evidence of ethnic bioweapons being a thing. So people on 4chan, like, a lot of people call them schizos for, quote unquote. They have noticed a pattern of the virus 19, whatever. Can I say COVID?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, COVID-19.
This might be a only stream for a while.
Yeah, whatever.
You can say COVID, for crying out loud. It's what you say after you say COVID that matters.
Right. People have noticed like the COVID vaccine particularly affecting people with type B blood.
You can definitely say schizophrenics on 4chan.
Right.
Look,
but if you bring up the vaccine, you have to also say that it's safe and effective. And there's
these schizophrenics on 4chan. What were they thinking? Because they're so weird. Are they weird, guys? How weird are they?
They have noticed a pattern affecting particularly B blood, but if you look at the B blood map, like I pulled up now, it's particularly affecting, Asians, which I'll lead into then. But everybody blames the precursor of COVID or whatever, like how it started from coming from China or whatever.
Canada, I thought. I blame Canada.
Right. They also mainly the one guy that got indicted through all this was the Harvard University professor Charles Lieber, that was the smuggled biological material into China, particularly the Wuhan lab, to develop COVID, quote unquote. That was one of the links, but really the precursor was the MERS outbreak in Korea, which was developed in a U.S. Army base, as you see from the RT article, which was completely slept on by every news cycle. The only people that cared were like Korean boomers that were protesting army bases. And then more evidence in the fact that this is case, the stuff came from a lab, is the biological testing in Iraq during the
I mean, these are crazy memes from the Rush RTs, like a bunch of silly, right? That's what we're saying here. It's amazing what these guys are putting out there.
And this didn't hit me. I swear, I'm like the Slumdog Millionaire of conspiracy theories. I made this connection because I had to go into the VA. I was talking to some Marines that were in Desert Storm, and they were like, "Hey, the Gulf War syndrome symptoms are exactly like COVID," and like, start looking into there.
I've always heard they're a lot like when you stop taking your trans drugs, like it's like come down from when you quit your TRS.
That also could be in part because there was experimental medications being pushed during the Gulf War under the guise that it's going to keep you alive in the case of a chemical warfare, right? They could have easily switched that plant patents and turned it into hormonal supplement treatments. But yeah, that's essentially it. And then the reason why attacking B blood, my schizophrenic connection to all this, the Freemason magazine. Yeah, This I mentioned this like 3 times already in previous streams, but it's really read this full document. Like it's it's publicly available. I'll post a link later. But it
Yeah, it's
goes
interesting if you talk
into
about the ethnicity of people from a continent. So people say,
right.
"What's an Asian? Someone from Asia?" Okay, but what about the Tartars, which are in Eurasia? You know?
Right, and not only that, like this entire magazine, the edition from April 15, 1865, details all of the free Masonic movements, what they've done, just plainly admitting to it, their activities in East Asia. And there's a part of that you can see, they talk about Hong Xiu Swan, the guy was mentioned earlier, but we never really pulled him up or talked about it. Hong Xiu Quan was the guy that started the Taiping Rebellion that eventually caused the collapse of the Qing Dynasty, which is huge. And they're admitting that like they might have had involvement in it or like an associate of Masonic associate a group.
Right, and so like the difference of what China is today, because it's run by the Han, when it would have been run by essentially a Russian group of people,
like a Jurchen
it would
Tartar,
have changed a lot of what China is perceived as. Right, yeah, it's something to consider.
The thing is, the Han were Manchurians, right? They're the precursor to Koreans, essentially. They were the Yamato or the Dongyi people. But it was like the warring states also. There's a huge connection there.
Well, this is also like an Ancient Aliens thing. So do you think that like because seriously, like we've heard recently, it's kind of now okay to talk about different kinds of sapien origins, and that there's multiple sapiens that have gene flow between, for instance, Homo sapien and Neanderthal. There are hybrids of these, right? But this is true of a lot of different kinds of humans. So it complicates the idea that we're all from Adam and Eve if we're from a bunch of different kinds of.
Right, this is the Cro-Magnon versus Neanderthal debate.
Or it's not even like a debate or a verse. It's more like the adaptation of the idea that there are Heidelbergensis, Floriensis, Denisovan, Neanderthal, all these different kinds of cavemen and Bigfoots, and that they could all breed together. And a lot of them did. And so now we have humans that are made up of different kinds of humans. And that's something you couldn't talk about for a while because people didn't like the idea. Like they liked the idea that we just changed. We started as Adam and Eve and we just changed. But that's not necessarily... maybe that's the beginning, but then at another point they come back together and there's gene flow, right? So it's something to consider.
Right.
Yeah, that's the question. Is ancient aliens real? Are we all
everybody says aliens, right? But another interesting point to mention is that the phenomenon of like a white couple birthing mixed race babies or twins, right? Like I'm more so like not convinced these people come from aliens, or rather we have some kind of like a ancestral genome, right, that has all this DNA codes within us that by recessive possibilities come out black and white children or like a different skull structure or whatever. Also like climate and geography plays a part due to your iodine axis and
epigenetics are far more about what you look like.
May I bring this up just briefly, because I just had a talk with David about demographic engineering and this idea that potentially one of these processes failed to displace people and make them look a certain way or fragment them, so every Norwegian has bright skin and all of that, but that somehow this actually failed or something. And this would be the same idea about epigenetics, how much they actually influence what kind of genes are expressed and whether it's much less deterministic in terms of parents than we think it is. Yeah.
Guys, you're watching Woo Wednesday. Anything goes on this. This is Xirtus's channel, and for those who just tune in on my channel because I'm live there, I just want people to know that I don't endorse everything that's said here.
Sorry if this is too woo.
Great.
I disavow all of it.
And we switch gears quite often here, so yeah, it makes my head spin a little bit too sometimes. So yeah, bear with us. This is
welcome to my world.
Not my normal show.
Well, okay, we got about 10 more minutes. I mean, I wanted to kind of also, Jeremy, is there anything you wanted to make sure like you could share about the research you've been doing this last month?
Well, I mean, you gotta wait for that Shermer debate to come out with on Dark Horse's channel. That should be interesting. We're still working on a bunch of different projects, and then of course we get the LK99 research is still kind of going on. We're waiting back for the SEM data to come back now. We're going to publish that, and we'll probably put out a paper by the end of it just to show what we did with our whole lab replication of it and our findings. Just because we went and took a couple weeks out of our normal work schedule to go down that rabbit hole and try to jump on that bandwagon in the hopes that we were going to find a room temperature superconductor. I think a lot of people were hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I don't know. Crypto seems to be in a mood, but I was thinking we're going to do a real science stream pretty soon. So I don't know how he's. Let's hope it all calms down. Like, let's do a real science about that pretty soon. But also, I was going to have questions about the metal plucked from the Pacific extraterrestrial. Do you see all this idea of metalloid life? Do you think that there's?
I saw this came out. I have not read the paper yet. I saw a couple people. I saw Gary Nolan and Mick West tweeting about it on Twitter, but I haven't. I was going to sit down and read it tonight, and we did a stream instead.
All right, well, we can pick that up, and we can look at that at some point. That'd be something.
Yeah, I want to do a stream on that probably later this week after I've had some time to pour it over and get into it. Of course, and I want to talk about our research into carbonado diamonds, which no geologists have a good explanation for how they got here. They're sort of geological anomalies, and they only appear in 2 places in the world, and they showed up around the same time, which was right around the pre-Cambrian explosion. So it's kind of curious to whether or not we were seeded with panspermia around that time, and whether or not they would ride on such a asteroid as these diamonds, which are some of them can be 11 on the Mohs hardness scale, which is a step higher than regular diamonds. So great to build a spacecraft out of that. I mean, it's super strong. It's got radiation shielding.
Yeah, but it might be that it's just like a growth, like it's a crystal that can grow. It doesn't necessarily mean it's alive or anything.
It doesn't necessarily mean, but some of the isotope ratios show that it was, it's not from our solar system. It came from a different solar system, another supernova or something. There's no real solid hypothesis on how it got here, and one of it's an extraterrestrial hypothesis that it might be a meteor. Carbonado, and they only appear in Bahia, Brazil, and Central African Republic, which is it's definitely an anomaly. But yeah, we've done some research into those. People digging out all kinds of cool stuff in Central African Republic, including those opals. They're called galaxy opals, and that's like the remember the thing in the Men in Black movie with where it had the galaxy inside of that stone?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like what that's based off of, a real thing. But they're these opals that only appear in that one kind of place. But yeah, it's interesting stuff. The carbonados are mined, naturally by the people there for, they make abrasives and, other stuff out of them. So, but that's an interesting
that's
thing.
A way dark. It's like Tim Burton's version of Horton Hears a Who, like really like just scraping them in iron wool. And they're like, please stop destroying our worlds. I don't know. How about this link Raf sent from the Intel lady? Who's Intel lady?
So just to Jeremy, I just want to say I'm going for cryptoid petrified alien brains, but that's Stellium 7's topic. Nice. And with the shorts, this is just, I wanted to also show Jeremy actually, because I think Jeremy, you spoke about Project Camelot, and this to anyone who can take a lighthearted approach to all of this. She is doing really some amazing comedy, some of these well-known people, and she's doing a really great job. If you can laugh about all of these things, then that's a good place to go.
I like to laugh.
I think I've seen some of her videos before. She looks somewhat familiar. This is this is the girl who was posed on Stephen Cambion's video. She's the actress in one of Stephen Cambion's reels. That's where I recognize her from. I don't know.
I have no clue. Basically, she's just doing, she's making a joke of Carrie Cassidy and some other well-known, however you want to call it, conspiracy theory people, and she's really doing it really well, regardless of what you think of the content, but her comedy is pretty fun. So yeah.
Yeah, this I've heard of. I don't know if that's Steve Cambion knows her somehow.
I've been traumatized. I have. Yeah, I feel like that's her. It's pretty cute.
He's got the Truth Seekers channel there. He picks a lot of fun at everything and tries to make fun of everything. But
Well, Seek of Truth invited her. That's where I know her from, yeah. And just because the very first video of her I saw, I was like, is this real or not? I really wasn't sure for a second.
Well, also, just in the oh, and then we got a super chat. Thank God. Thank Wyatt. Manipulating pickles. All right.
Well, you have to soak the cucumbers in the vinegar in order to manipulate them into being pickles.
I noticed someone in Super Chat posted a U.S. patent earlier. I was wondering what
Yeah,
that
I
was.
saw that. I wanted to look into this too. I can't type that fast. 103228227.
Is that Stevenson, Gary Stevenson?
Is it Anthony Williams? I don't know.
Yeah, Anthony. Is that the patent by Gary Stevenson? This sounds like Gary's
High
work.
frequency gravitational wave generator. By Salvatore Cesar Pais.
Yeah, this is the Pais stuff. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I like it. You got the metal and they're spinning around like in the movie.
Even his name is interesting. I think it says something like Savior of Peace or something. So that's maybe symbolism in itself. The naming of the patent.
Dude's definitely the grandson of a German immigrant to Chile. That's what it looks like. Manipulating pickles. Yeah, there's that. Also, if you guys want to get more information in like the meantime, because I know you're gonna have a lot more stuff to show pretty soon, Jeremy, make sure you guys go to Alien Scientist on YouTube. He has a lot of live talks, and he, this, as he said, we do kind of a fun let's talk about things. He goes deep into the subject and is, not distracted, and you can find a lot of evidence for everything. He's debunking a lot of the nonsense, and he's going out there like he's actually going to the congressional hearings. And so you want to check out Alien Scientist. Subscribe, go to alienscientist.com, and also to x.com/Alien Scientist. Yeah, that's the right. Yeah, no, that's the wrong one.
Yeah, I'm open to debates and discussions or panels. I love like a good panel where we can get some different ideas. We don't all have to agree on everything all the time. Sometimes we're wrong about stuff, but we like to investigate everything and kind of look at things from lots of different angles that other channels don't.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're a lot more open-minded, and I appreciate that. And, the main thing is you're just trying to find the truth, and the truth is something that's going to require a lot of experimentation. And so there's going to be, in the future, we'll do like a real science, hopefully very soon. We'll talk more and we'll see some experiments, and that'll be awesome. Also, I want to share with everybody Act Like 26, which is Raphael's page, because he makes a lot of really cool videos. And I'm sorry we didn't get to talk about more things, Raph. I'm sorry.
Oh well, we get back to it.
We're gonna do Naropa. I should have gotten up earlier today. That's actually my fault.
You guys should do another episode so Gunwoo can talk about that stuff he had planned. Sounds like he did a lot of research.
We're gonna. That's the next thing, Gunwoo.
I mean, I pretty much covered it all. That was the end.
I think we can go.
We can stretch it out for sure.
Yeah,
but
we're gonna go so deep. Like Gunwoo's gonna come back in the Orthodox robes, all set up. And Mark, if you want to be there, I don't know how you feel. Like sometimes I feel like I invite you to the weirdest swinger parties, but if you want to be there,
there's some subjects I'm just out of my, It's just,
but you're so handsome, and just sitting there looking at you thinking is enough for me to I think for a lot of people to sit through all of this. So. Appreciate having you here.
Yeah, they're like, if you can handle it, they can too. No, thank you.
There's a fundamental point to this, which is that Pink Trip makes amazing content, and you should all be watching it. I think you probably are. Let's be real. I mean, the stuff's hilarious.
Well, something, Joe Rogan. All the people I knew this was the place to be, man. So what you gonna do when Rogan and Hogan run wild on you,
brother? These are the ones.
They're so good. Oh my god, Are they up here? Where's your animated one? Did you take it down?
I put it on my second channel.
Yes.
You hid your animated one? Here's the thing. This man is so brilliant and so he just doesn't trust himself. He makes amazing art. It's risky. I mean, I guess I'm one of your beatnik friends who laughs at your good jokes, and you have to burn those because mainstream America can't handle them.
No, I'm just trying to figure out what the hell's going on with my channel. So I'm like, okay, am I not allowed to experiment? So do I have to put it on a second channel?
You're always allowed to experiment. It's America. You got to experiment. I don't know. His videos are super good. We're going to be you're supposed to twist my arm and make me suffer through a Pink Trip live soon. Tomorrow? Is that
I don't know when, man. I'm going to do it on the second channel at some point. And of course,
he does live shows, and we need to be watching. You guys, he's so funny. You know what I mean? I feel like you could, like, you just have to ride the bull. That's all there is to it. I love your stuff. So, guys, watch Pink Trip. They're amazing videos. He's also got Pink Trip 2, which is probably where the better. Like, this is like MTV 2. That's how that works. Look at all this.
Well, you got to move to where I'm the dog.
No, you know what? I'm coming
You gotta
over.
go- if you want to see me looking stupid as hell, there you go. See, I got a lot of good feedback from this one.
Yeah, I think these are freaking hilarious. Like, also,
Me, you know, where are the aliens?
animation. Definitely go animation. Animation is the way to go. I'm sorry, it's
more.
amazing.
Animated shorts, yeah, it's clicking the algorithm.
Yeah,
Not
and
for me, man.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to find Gunwoo, well, you know, that's classified. But otherwise, in the future, we'll do a video with you soon. Thank you all for being here and putting up with me. I appreciate you. Take care.
Take care, everybody.
Subscribe to Alien Scientist. Have a good night.
Subscribe to Alien Scientist. And act like, did you get Act Like You Know 26? Did anyone even?
We got it all.
Yeah, we did.
We got it all.
All right.
And if you like this content, go subscribe to Xirtus, man.
Oh, that's true. You can do that.
Indeed.
Sorry if it freaked you out.